Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our fourth Victory Monday. Is this fourth in a row? Fourth Victory. I'm running out of Jaguar print clothes. I'm not. Our fourth Victory Monday, our Hanukkah, our pre-Christmas, and our last regular City Council meeting of the year. Please join us for our invocation, followed by the salute to the flag, led by Mr. Jansen.
Good evening, everyone. So before we go into prayer, I'm going to read the passage from the Bible, which is probably the most famous Christmas verse. It's from Luke 2, starting with verse 9. The shepherds are out in the field, and an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were filled with great fear. And the angel said to them, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped in a manger, swaddling clothes, and lying in a manger." Let us pray. Good and gracious Heavenly Father, as I lift my brother and sister up in prayer, we just thank you for all the blessings you give us. Lord, we just ask you to pour those blessings upon everyone during this Christmas season. Lord, we're so thank you for your Son, Jesus, who you sent as an image bearer of Christ to bring salvation to all of us. And while he was on the cross and he pushed down on his pierced feet and cried out, "It is finished," we know that it was meant for all of us. Lord, put your blessings upon our first responders and our military, as some of them may have to work during our Christmas holidays to protect our peace. Lord, we just thank you for all these things. For it's in your Son's name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is called to order. Clerk, roll call. Councilmember Golding. Here. Councilmember Horn.
Here.
Councilmember Jansen.
Here.
Councilmember Sutton.
Here.
Councilmember Wagner.
Here.
Councilmember Wouters.
Here.
Mayor Hoffman. Here. Moving on to approval of minutes.
I move we approve the minutes from the regular City Council meeting held on December 1st, 2025.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Council announcements. Ms. Golding.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to start off on a rather difficult note. Yesterday, some of our police officers were attacked by visitors to our community. And I just want to say, that I think I can speak for the entire council, we are behind our police officers. We appreciate everything they do every day to keep us all safe. And it is totally unacceptable that we would have visitors come to our community and then attack our police officers. I want to thank Chief Smith for acting quickly and for all our police department does to make sure that our community is safe and to hold people accountable so that people learn that if you're going to misbehave, you should not come to Jack's Beach. So anyway, but on a lighter note, I hope everyone had a chance to go to Tuba Christmas this Saturday. As always, it was amazing and it was very well attended. I love seeing all the people, and I believe they announced there were over 175 tubas that participated this year. And again, Deck the Chairs is just a great event. Please get out and visit it if you haven't done so already. I want to mention, because we will not have another council meeting until January 20th, which is a Tuesday. So want people to know that because of the Martin Luther King holiday, we will not have another council meeting until January 20th. In the meantime, Beaches Watch is having a State of the Beaches meeting, which is the annual meeting that Beaches Watch has with the 3 beaches mayors, and Mayor Hoffman will be participating, as well as the Atlantic Beach and Neptune Beach mayors, to talk about the state of our beaches, what has happened in 2025, what's planned for 2026. It's always a really good meeting. It will be Wednesday, January 7th at 7 o'clock at the Beaches Branch Library. Great opportunity to hear from our mayors, so I encourage you to plan to attend that meeting. And just wanted to make a quick comment that several of us attended the Florida League of Cities Legislative Conference in Orlando. Was it just like a week ago? Anyway, it was a excellent conference. A lot of really good information was shared to help prepare us for the legislative session, because it will be a challenging one this year. As the city manager says, it doesn't seem like they can get worse, but every year they do seem to get worse. So we are all getting prepared to do our best to represent the city of Jacksonville Beach. Last but not least, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, or whatever holiday you celebrate, and look forward to working with my colleagues on this dais in 2026.
Thank you. Mr. Horn?
Actually going to say something tonight, then I just felt compelled. Going to work my way through this. We've seen a lot of bad stuff in the news lately. We saw a shooting at Brown University. We saw the senseless murder of Hollywood icon Ron Reiner and his wife. We saw this massacre in Bondi, Australia. And I want to say a couple of things. There's probably a lot of different reasons for some of these events and the causative factors behind them. I want to say that if you are someone you know is struggling with any kind of mental illness, there's help available to you. There are resources out there in the community. If you feel that you are to the point where you want to go and take someone else's life, again, there are resources out there. The holidays are very stressful for everybody. They're stressful for people with good mental health, and they're even more so for people with, insufficient coping skills. So I want to say that there are resources out there, and they are available. In regards to the assault on our police officers, I will agree with my fellow council member in that we will not tolerate this in Jacksonville Beach. I will say here on the dais, I've said it multiple times here. I've said it publicly. I don't have a problem saying it again. I've asked Chief Gene Paul Smith to make the beaches as happy and inviting and as safe as possible for the citizens and all the people that want to visit and have fun, and as uncomfortable and as unpleasant as legally permissible for anybody who wants to come here and cause problems. Now that's the bad stuff. The good stuff is, first off, I'd like everybody to know that I actually wore a tie this evening. Very proud of myself. My wife even noticed that. But I just want to say that I love this time of year. This is the time we get to, one of the things we get to celebrate is the birth of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I'm happy to be here and I always say everybody needs a little Jesus. I got a little Jesus right here. So let's have him sit right there for the evening. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Anyone else? All right. Moving on to courtesy of the Florida visitors. We have quite a few for the same topic, but we will start with Mr. Kevin Brown. We'll get the sea turtles. And maybe your last time speaking to us as a Jacksonville Beach resident. No, but I mean next time you'll be you're moving across the street. Okay. Well, we'll still let you come. Don't worry.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank y'all for all the support you give me and my little groups. You've always been supportive, and I am grateful for that, and I want you to know that. Turtle season, I want to start this off by saying I want to get proactive with it. I want to be negative first. Last summer, we had 18 what they call disorientations. What that is, in a nutshell, is the turtles come out, and instead of going that way, they go parallel or they go into the dunes, and it's because of lighting. It's artificial lighting. I had the fortunate to take Councilwoman Sandy Golden out one night, and there are several condos and homes that are out of ordinance, and we have a light ordinance. And I realize, I know it's hard to enforce it, but we need to ramp up the culture a little bit. I gave everybody, you should have a copy of, it's a sticker, it's a cleans. I am not sure if this is permanent or if it's a cleans, but it was from Hilton Head. And anybody that's ever been to Hilton Head, it's a very affluent place, much like us. And they have bought into this culture. That was on every sliding glass door at every hotel. It, in theory, which I did not check, but it was on every bed and breakfast, every rental, to where when those people saw, they knew they were visitors, they got to see that. I just want to stress, and I want to start the ball rolling, that we have a light issue. I don't want to get it crazy like we have seen in the past, but I think we need to address it. And we need to do that. Last year, out of the 18 disorientations, Jack's Beach had 11. And I will tell you, the ones that I investigated, those little guys one of them went 7 blocks this way. And then, what we got to do is follow the tracks and kind of go up in the dunes with them and follow them. And they finally peeled off where there was no lighting. So I'd like us to work with Beaches Energy. They've done the stickers, they've done the coffee mugs, but I think this is something that would be a lot more effective, and we can do a campaign, and maybe even residents are going to be able to grab these things and put them at their homes, especially on the beach fronts. So my whole intention tonight was just to be proactive. I wanted to thank y'all for everything y'all do, and I'd like to start talking about this a little bit. I think the stickers and magnets and mugs are great, but I don't think that's where we are right now. We need to get control of these lights, these artificial lights. So I appreciate your time. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and once again, thanks for all y'all do for me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. All right, we will move on. Before we go to the rest of the speaker cards, I asked our city manager to just read a statement just to kind of update everybody so we're all on the same page with the issues regarding Discovery School.
Yes, Mayor, Council, I know over the last week plus, we've had some correspondence with you about what's been going on over at Discovery School, and just wanted to read a quick statement to you. The city is aware of public concerns surrounding the Discovery School, ranging from traffic impacts to site development. We've been in contact with head of school, Ms. Britzberger, of the Discovery School to ensure compliance with permit requirements, including those that are conditional. The concerns regarding expiration of conditional use and deviations from site plans will be researched and reported back to council by our planning and development staff.
Thank you. So we'll go through the speaker cards, and just a reminder, there is no item regarding Discovery School in front of the City Council tonight or even in process, so just so you're aware of that. When I call your name, you can approach the podium. It looks like if the green light's on, it means the mic is on, and give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the council. Donnie Brusca.
Thank you. I appreciate the update. It's unfortunate that it's taken this long to get here. Good morning, Mayor, council members. My name is Donnie Brzezinski. I live in Jacksonville Beach at 1511 Marshall in the Court. In August, my son was nearly hit by a car in front of the Discovery School during pickup. He was forced off the sidewalk into traffic because cars were blocking the pedestrian access. There was no police officer, no teacher, and no one managing the traffic. It was a terrifying moment, but it prompted me to look closely at the rules governing how this school is allowed to operate in our residential neighborhood. What I found was disturbing. Discovery School operates under a conditional use approval that requires crossing guards during all pickup and drop-off periods, staggered times of at least 30 minutes to prevent congestion, and required fencing and vegetative barriers on the southern property line to protect homes. These conditions are not being met. Instead, traffic is routinely compressed into narrow time limits. Crossing guards are not present. Required buffers are incomplete. The Cheddar and 15th Street corridor becomes a dangerous choke point for emergency management services during school hours. Sidewalks are blocked. Streets are congested. This creates real safety risk for our community. City resources and taxpayer dollars have been used to help manage this private institution's traffic instead of enforcing the conditions already required by the city. The school's conditional use approval expired in 2022. Despite that, operations have intensified and expansion has continued. The campus today is materially different from what residents were shown and what the Planning Commission approved in 2017. Since then, Discovery has constructed a new 8,900 square foot building, expanded parking, nearly doubled admissions, removed mature trees without permits, conducted repeated after hours and unpermitted construction, and is now proposing a full-size athletic field directly along the residential property line. All without a public hearing, all without Planning Commission review, all without current use approval. The athletic field would significantly increase intensity and use and impact our quality of life. Yet residents were never given a voice because the rules meant to protect our neighborhood have not been enforced. Over the past several months, residents have submitted more than a dozen code complaints, requests for information, and pleas for assistance to planning development, code enforcement, the fire marshal, the city attorney, the Jacksonville Beach Police Department. We have not received meaningful responses. Today is the first response we've received. Meanwhile, expansion continues under approvals that no longer reflect current operations. Tonight, I respectfully ask the council to enforce the existing conditions of use at Discovery School, pause any future or current expansion, require a new conditional application that reflects the current operations at the site, and hold a new public hearing so the community can provide meaningful input on the development of our neighborhood. Thank you very much for your consideration and time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Brzuska. Sander Brzuska.
Good evening. My name is Sander Brzuska, and I live in Jacksonville Beach. On August 2020, or 2025, at about 4:30 in the afternoon, I was riding my bike home from Fletcher Middle during aftercare pickup at Discovery School. The sidewalk in front of the school was blocked by cars. I had no choice but to go onto the road. While I was in the street, a car driving the wrong way almost hit me. There were no crossing guards, there were no teachers, and there were no police officers. Please don't let this happen to anyone else. Thank you for listening.
Sean Mason indicates he does not wish to speak, but exposes expansion of Discovery School. Thank you for being here, Mr. Mason. Robert Phelps.
Good evening. I'm Robert Phelps, and I'm here to talk about the traffic. I live at 1614 Marsh Inlet Court, Jacks Beach. The school's probably 100 yards from the front of my house. The traffic, like one of the previous speakers said, it's terrible. Cheddar, it's a parking lot. It backs up. I've seen Penman back up all the way from Cheddar to Penman and then down towards Beach Boulevard. 15th Street, same way. It's so bad that cars, they go in the other lane because they're tired of sitting in traffic. They're going to have a crash before it's over with. We've got Pablo Hamlet there, which is a 62 and older complex. We've got the Jordan Demers condos, and also we have the Marsh side. What we're having is, if emergency responders have to go down there, they come from this fire station right up here at 3rd and 2nd Avenue. That's their first through territory. So the way they're going to come is they're going to come down Cheddar and make a left if they're going to go south on 15th, or make a right if they're going to go into Jordan Demers, or go straight. If it's backed up, you know as good as I do, time counts. There's one way in to Pablo Hamlet and one way out. Now you can go out on Beach Boulevard and cut up by Taco Lou and cut through there It's narrow through there. There's big fire trucks. So that's where we run into a problem. It's only a matter of time before somebody's going to need emergency services. They're going to get delayed. The closest fire station is the one there at Sunshine Park. Both that one and the one that on 3rd Street have rescues. And it's going to be a big problem. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. Victoria Yee.
Good evening, Victoria Yee, 1575 Marsh Inlet Court, Chucks Beach. I think you've heard pretty much all of the safety concerns that we have. I'm just going to reiterate one of the things that Robert just mentioned. So coming out one day that actually happened to me is I came out of Marsh Inlet to go north on 15th Street South, meaning I have to pass in front of the Discovery School. There were teachers out there helping to have traffic flow. But in this scenario, both people at both ends, the teachers, were waving people in each direction. So I was paying attention. I didn't obey the one gentleman who was waving me on because in the coming my way in where I would have had right of way in that lane, they were coming. So they do cut across into the other lane to avoid the traffic that's turning into Discovery School. One of these days, there is a crash that is going to happen. Luckily, we're not going fast because it is a traffic grid. But there is one of these days, something is going to happen if this is not addressed. The other issues I would like to at least address, and while it may not be safety, is the quality of life and lack of privacy we now have on our street. The school has built, as I think Donnie mentioned, 8,000 plus square foot building that is about 15 feet off the property line. It runs my whole backyard. Children, teachers, anybody who's in there can overlook my yard. There's lights on. Their service providers are there very inconsistently at all times of the night. Cleaning people, lawn maintenance people, they're not consistent when they come in. I've had cleaning people in there, seen the lights blazing at 2 o'clock in the morning. The lawn and maintenance people don't come on a consistent schedule. They come usually a couple times a week, sometimes in the weekdays, in the evenings. But they were there Saturday. They've come many times on Sunday. And so I can't enjoy my backyard knowing that I could just go out there, enjoy the privacy, have a morning coffee, read the newspaper, read a book, have people over for dinner, because I can never depend on when there will be peace and quiet there. And so that is something that also concerns me. I feel like my property value has decreased because of that, because to try and show it and sell it where you've got this humongous building overlooking your property, no matter how much you landscape and make it nice, it's something that everybody notices who comes to my house. So I'd like you to at least consider that as well with their expansion.
Thank you, Ms. Yee. Mr. Harrell, Thomas Harrell.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thomas Harrell, 2796 Colonies Drive. I wanted to talk about the expansion of Discovery. We've really we've already talked about it so far. Just wanted to bring up 3 topics. Mainly the safety and the quality of life for the people that live there. I live on the distant side of Constitution Cove, but the traffic that's coming through there in those specific time zones are really horrible at this time. So the compliance issues is that, as well as it's all about the children and the parents and the teachers at the school. We want them to have a quality of life, but as I've been here before and mentioned quality of life, you wouldn't want this in your backyard either. So one of the other topics is the Discovery's conditional use of approval expired, yet expansion of deviations and continued without public input. So the main thing is making sure that the neighbors have input for this. And then residents are asking for a pause and enforcement of existing rules and new public hearings, nothing more. But then also is the ask. We just want they want to live coincide with there, and we want to live with them as well. But be respectful. Ask the city council to pause the further expansion and require a new conditional use of application and hold the public hearings so that the community can provide meaningful input. Thank you for your time. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Harrell. Valdora Bolenbach, hopefully I got that right, does not wish to speak, but supports stop expansion of Discovery School. Thank you for being here. Adam Bolenbach does not wish to speak, but supports stopping expansion of Discovery School. Cheryl Brzezinska.
We're taking over.
I'm going to get it right the third time.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Brzezinska. I live at 538 Jack Street, Jack's Beach. That's my nephew that almost got hit. So, and I go down this area numerous times a week. And the traffic is just as bad as you've heard. It's actually worse. You can't get through. And everybody has talked about it, so I will address the underlying issue. The reason there are too many cars is that they have let in too many students. There was a limit of 200, and it's well over 300 now. So we had to deal with 200 cars coming in all at the same time, and now it's over 300, which is just a mess and a disaster waiting to happen. What I am asking you to do is to ask Discovery to stop adding or admitting any additional students. Every student is a car. Every additional car is a tipping point. And I'm asking them to stop it at this location. We need to compare this to other private schools like Episcopal, a small campus here at the beach, and a large, beautiful campus in a commercial area. And that's where Discovery School needs to go. They need to stop growing at this point. They are in a residential area. They knew that they moved to a residential area and that they would have to submit to residential rules. They have a limit about how many students they can have, and they need to abide by those limits. So I think we need to be encouraging Discovery School to open up a different campus so that they can meet all of their dreams and goals and not destroy the neighborhood that they're in. Thank you so much for listening. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Ms. Brzezinska. Michael Abernathy.
Fellow council members, my name is Mike Abernathy. I live at 1780 Marsh Inlet Court, Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I'm going to quote, I have to look it up real quick. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. once said, "The right to swing my fist ends where another man's nose begins." The reason I bring that up because I think this, what we're talking about is just our rights as a community. You know, our rights to safety. You know, we shouldn't have to worry about, is my daughter going to go play and get hit by a car? Our rights to enjoy the property that we pay taxes on, unlike the Discovery School. You know, when I heard Donnie's story, it really struck me. You know, my daughter loves to go out and run and play. You know, how would you feel if you had to worry about your daughter if she was hit by a car that day? All we're asking for is, you know, we feel like we're David versus Goliath. You know, they've been allowed to do this for years going unchecked. So we're coming to you asking for help to help us keep our family safe and our kids safe. Thank you.
Mr. Abernathy. We have a speaker card from Paula Posero. Did I get it close? Does not wish to speak, but supports stopping expansion of Discovery School. Thank you. And then we've got one more, Brzezinska. Melissa does not wish to speak, but supports stopping expansion of Discovery School. Barbara Black does not wish to speak, but also supports stopping expansion of Discovery School. And Robert Mueller, who does not wish to speak and supports stopping expansion of Discovery School. Thank you all for being here and for your comments, taking the time out of your busy schedules to share your thoughts on this matter with us. I don't have any other speaker cards. You are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but in case anyone wants to depart at this time, since courtesy of the floor is over, we're going to take just a 30-second pause to let you do that before we get back to our meeting. But it's it's a banger. We've got a lot of really good items on the agenda today. So if you've ever wanted to learn more about franchise agreements with other cities for electrical utilities, now's the time. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Please be safe. Have a safe and happy holiday. So they weren't all here for the franchise agreement with Neptune Beach. Oh. You cannot be that sassy when you're wearing a Christmas ornament tie, Councilman Horn. Okay, can someone just pop out there and just ask them to keep? No, never mind. They're going. I can hear it. They're moving. It's cold outside. I get it. Okay, moving on to consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. All right. I should have asked them to stay for this presentation. It's always such an honor to be able to do presentations like this. Tonight we're going to recognize our Deputy City Clerk, Jody Lynn Bird, for earning her Certified Municipal Clerk designation. Jody began her journey almost 10 years ago with the City of Jacksonville Beach in May of 2015 as an administrative assistant in the clerk's office. After working in the front office for 6 years, she was promoted to the Deputy City Clerk role in September 2021. Jody has been proactive in renewing local business taxes, instrumental in organizing interviews for all city board members, and took the challenge of organizing a newly created Citizen Information Academy, among other day-to-day operations. Jody has been a member of the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, as well as its partner organization, the Florida Association of City Clerks, for 8 years. Both the IIMC and the FACC are professional associations that promote continuing education specific to all job duties relating to municipal clerks. To achieve the CMC designation, Jody attended FACC conferences, webinars, and continuing education classes for a period of over 2 years. These courses included job-specific training such as conducting municipal elections, recording minutes for public meetings, public records laws and maintenance, interpreting state statutes, etc. When asked about her experience of earning CMC, Jody stated, "The most significant benefit I have gained from participating in the Certified Municipal Clerk Educational Training Program through IIMC and FACC is the access to extensive support, shared knowledge, and networking opportunities. These resources allow me to discuss challenges and questions of mutual interest, all with the goal of enhancing the efficiency of the city clerk's office. As I continue my training toward achieving the Master Municipal Clerk certification, I look forward to further cultivating professional relationships and participating in the mentor program where I can share my experience, knowledge, and accomplishments with others in the field." Please join me in congratulating Jody for her efforts in becoming a certified municipal clerk. I really love that specifically mentioned for the board interviews and really streamlining that process. Managing our elections has improved so much over the past few years, and of course, the Citizen Information Academy is an undoubted success, and it really has done a lot for our citizens' opportunity to engage with their city government and with the departments of the city. So I really appreciate all that you've done and appreciate that you've continued your education so that you can benefit not only yourself professionally, but the city clerk's office and our city as a whole. So thank you for that. Okay, the long reading I think is done for me today. No, it's not. Okay, moving on to resolutions. We will begin with our city procurement manual. Ms. Gossett.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ashley Gossett, CFO. I'm very excited that the resolution before you tonight for consideration is to adopt a new procurement manual, which is the result of a strategic plan project to conduct a comprehensive review and update both our existing ordinance and manual. Our project goals were to ensure federal, state, and local regulatory compliance, provide important safeguards to mitigate risk in the use of public funds, support city strategic objectives, and to simplify the buying process. City Council and staff discussed the proposed updates at briefings held on September 8th and November 10th. The most significant change in the manual and ordinance is to increase the city's bid threshold from $25,000, which was set in 2008, to $50,000, which is in line with other local governments of a similar size and scope of operations. And as always, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Gossett. As she mentioned, we did have several opportunities at briefings to go in depth on the procurement manual, and it's something we've been working on for quite some time. So thank you for that. We'll go ahead and have a motion.
I move we adopt resolution number 2202-2025, adopting an updated and revised city procurement manual.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wagner,
Yes.
Councilmember Wouters,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries. Congratulations. And right under the wire, so you got it done in 2025. Well done. Mr. Putnam, coming up, franchise agreement. Mike.
Alan Putnam, Director of Beach Center. Yeah, we spoke about this at the council briefing a couple weeks ago. I'm just going to cover the key substantive updates, undergrounding coordination, costing process, and responsibilities. Neptune Beach wanted to be able to underground other areas where we may not agree that it needs to be done for reliability. So we have a process where they could actually pay us for that, because normally we would never do that. So the other change was a 30-year agreement. The previous agreement was a 20-year agreement. This was a 30-year, and it goes year to year after that. Third thing is the sale of if we ever to contemplate the sale of Beaches Energy, we are required to have public meetings with Neptune Beach. And lastly, after our last meeting with Neptune Beach, we just modified the street lighting agreement section. They thought they might want to add some different types of street lights, and as long as that was economically feasible for Jack's Beach, we would consider it. So those are the updates.
Thank you, Mr. Putnam. Can we have a motion?
I move we adopt resolution number 2205-2025, adopting the City of Neptune Beach franchise agreement and authorizing the mayor and city manager to countersign the franchise agreement upon adoption.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Wouters.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Putnam, I just wanted to ask you a question about something we discussed in the briefing. That being, I believe you stated that underground is more reliable, but our friend from Neptune Beach said their above ground was fine and just as reliable. Did I understand that right, or do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't believe that's what they meant. They only got one section left that's overhead. One large section where it's actually feasible to go underground. No, it's not more. Overhead is not more reliable. Underground is certainly more reliable.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wagner,
Yes.
Councilmember Wouters,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries. Next up, we have our first ordinance. Ms. Gossett.
So this is the second reading of the ordinance to increase the bid threshold from 25,000 to 50,000. Also in this ordinance is a little tidy work. We're taking out the definitions from the ordinance and moving it over to the manual. And we're removing a section about the uniform accounting system that was put in place in 1978. It's part of state statutes, and so it was unnecessarily in the ordinances. So we're asking to remove that one as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gossett. Madam Clerk, will you read the ordinance by title, please?
An ordinance of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Administration of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, Code of Ordinances by repealing Chapter 2, Administration, Article 1, in general, Section 2-1, purchase of materials, etc., in excess of specified amount. Publication of notice for bids, definitions, amending and renumbering Section 2-1.1, purchase procedures, contracts, etc., and repealing Section 2-2, adoption of uniform accounting system, providing for legislative findings, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, Scrivener's errors, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. This ordinance is before the council for a public hearing and consideration on its second reading. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 2025-8230. I do not have any speaker cards on this item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against? This public hearing is closed. May I have a motion?
I move we adopt ordinance number 2025-8230 on the second reading, amending the bid threshold in the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 1, in general.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from council? Mr. Wouters.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this question should be directed to Ms. Gossett or to Mike. Just so I understand, the state has 35,000. What do other small cities have 50,000, or what is the benefit, or why did we do that?
So I can answer that. The 35,000 is for the state purchases, anything that's done through the Department of Management Services. The local governments have the authority to set their own procurement thresholds. We have been at 25,000 since 2008. We surveyed like cities in terms of population and scope of surveys, and we spoke to our staff about kind of what made sense, what was the right fit for us. And we found that a lot of our neighbors doing the same thing that we're doing are setting it theirs at 50,000. There are some folks that are above that, and there are some folks that are below that, but the kind of the average of the other entities was set at 50,000.
So in your judgment, this is a prudent thing to do?
I do feel like it's appropriate for the city at this time.
Okay, well then I support it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wagner,
Yes.
Councilmember Wouters,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries. Our next ordinance, we'll turn it over to Mr. Miggott, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier this year, the Florida Legislature passed Senate Bill 954, which requires local governments to adopt an ordinance establishing a process for applicants seeking reasonable accommodations from land use regulations that serve to prohibit the establishment of a certified recovery residence. These facilities are also commonly known as sober homes, offer structured, supportive living environments for individuals recovering from substance abuse disorders. The governor approved the bill and signed the bill, and it was codified into law. One of the requirements of this bill is to pass this ordinance basically immediately. We weren't given much lead time. So my office coordinated with some other local government attorneys from around the state because it was a kind of a short fuse item. We've come up with this proposed ordinance. I've worked with our planning and development team on this. Tonight's the first reading. This would allow a a process whereby through the Fair Housing Act and the American with Disabilities Act, there would be the opportunity for someone to petition the city for relief from our zoning regulations. There are about 7 or 8 specific requirements that have to be in the ordinance under the bill that was approved by the state, and we have put all those requirements in there. This the Planning Commission, I want to point out, heard this matter last week because it will amend our land development code, and the Planning Commission reviews anything that would propose to amend our land development code. Again, we were on a very short timeline for this, so they did bring up 2 conditions that they wanted to bring to City Council's attention. The first is throughout the ordinance, we put language giving the city manager authority to take certain steps, and we say city manager or designee, which is standard of protocol for orderly operation of city business. The Planning Commission recommended designee be removed in all instances and say city manager only. And the second thing they recommended is not really a change to the ordinance, but they would request city legal staff come before the Planning Commission early next year to go over this big picture matter in more detail, which I'd be happy to do. With that, I'd be happy to answer. Yeah, can I ask you guys some questions? I'd be happy to answer any questions or give any more feedback. This will come back before you. If you proceed tonight, this will come back before you in your first regular meeting in January on the 20th for second reading and approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miggott. Madam Clerk, will you read the ordinance by title, please?
An ordinance of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, amending City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Land Development Code, Article 7, Site Development Standards, Division 2, Supplemental Standards, by creating a new Section 34-733, Requests for Accommodation, to provide procedures for handling and processing requests for accommodation from the city's Land Development Code, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, Scrivener's errors, codification, and an effective date.
This ordinance for the amendment of the Land Development Code is before this council for a public hearing and consideration on its first reading. Under the laws of the state of Florida, an ordinance which changes the actual list of permitted, conditional, or prohibited uses within a zoning category, or which otherwise changes the text of the Land Development Code, is a legislative proceeding. A legislative proceeding means that a governing body is acting in its rulemaking capacity. It is the duty of the council to arrive at sound decisions regarding the use of property within the city. This includes receiving citizen input regarding the proposed uses within a zoning category. The application has been reviewed by staff and the Planning Commission for consistency with other portions of the Land Development Code and the Comprehensive Plan. The council may hear from all interested parties in the legislative determination of an amendment to the text of the Land Development Code. The council's decision on a text amendment application is based on the criteria set forth in Section 34-538 of the Land Development Code. Each member of the council has been provided a copy of this criteria. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 2026-8232. The public hearing is open. I do not have any speaker cards on this item. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor or against this item? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Can I have a motion?
I move we approve ordinance number 2026-8232 on its first reading, amending Chapter 34, Article 7, Division 2, Supplemental Standards by creating a new Section 34-733, Request for Accommodation from the city's Land Development Code, and schedule a second reading for January 20th, 2026.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Before opening the floor for discussion or questions by the council, please be reminded that our decision will be based on the criteria set forth in the Land Development Code, staff's report, the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and the public input at all hearings. Mr. Jansen.
Yes, this is going to be a question for Mr. Miggott. So as soon as I saw this hit the agenda, I dove into the riveting text of Senate Bill number 954, and I got to what's in essence the second paragraph, 15A, where it says by January 1st, 2026, the governing body of each county or municipality shall adopt an ordinance establishing procedures for the review and approval of certified recovery residents within its jurisdiction. And it goes on beyond that if you want to read more. For me, the pivotal word in that first sentence of that paragraph is or. So it says the county or a municipality shall establish this, and not and. So we're within the county, and I know that Duval County has these residents established already. So why is it that we, since the county has it, and it's an or situation, not an and or an and, do we have to submit to this when we're within Duval County?
So I actually discussed that exact language with at least one other local government attorney, and everyone, again, we were put under a very tight time frame. Everyone is just proceeding by erring on the side of caution. I talked, in addition to talking to one specific attorney on that language, I've also seen 5 municipalities this month bringing forward similar ordinances to this one. So everyone is just proceeding under the stance of let's go ahead and pass an ordinance rather than potentially be in violation of state law. So we're putting a little bit of a bind with the timing of this, but everyone is just proceeding with reading that language as not an option for city or county, but just not the clearest use of the word and or the word or, but proceeding with everyone needs to do it.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I also will tell you, in my 28 years in dealing with the law, those are pivotal words, and they can be defended. If they say "and" a municipality, then the municipality has to support it. But if it's an "or" situation and we're within the county, I kind of feel like it falls on the county's shoulders and not ours. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You're erring on the side of caution, but the words are clear. And as it stands now, I'm a no vote on this one just because of it doesn't say, the words are clear to me. Now, maybe they need to get a glitch bill and correct their verbiage in the bill. But as it stands now, it's or.
If I could just add one more thing, and
Sure.
I see where you're coming from, but under the Fair Housing Act and the American with Disabilities Act, we almost certainly would have to take the action that this ordinance would mandate we take, even if we don't enact this ordinance. If someone in this situation came to us for a relief from our land use code, even without the state law, they might have a valid claim under the Fair Housing Act or Americans with Disability Act if we did not provide a reasonable accommodation. So I think we're likely going to have to take the end result, even if we don't pass this ordinance, if an issue that the state law contemplates were to arise in our city. So I don't know if it's worth potentially clashing with the state when it's something we're going to have to do regardless of passing an ordinance. But I see where you're coming from, but that's another thing I think perhaps to just consider.
Thank you.
Mr. Wouters?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney Mr. Miggett, does this apply to all? Are you saying a recovery home could be in any of the zoning districts? I believe there's 7, RS1 and so on. So,
Planning and development staff that has the technical expertise could answer that question for you. That an emergency came up today that prevented one of them from being there. I don't want to misspeak. I also will make sure we get an answer to you, but I don't want to answer that and misspeak. So let me get back to you on that well in advance of the second reading.
And I apologize for not talking to you earlier about this, but I do share Councilman Jansen's concerns. Thank you.
Mr. Wagner?
So, I think this is an interesting topic. As many of you know, I was on the board of Angelwood for about 10 years, and what Angelwood, one of the many things they do to support their mission is they provide group homes for people with developmental disabilities. And I can tell you, I've been to a bunch of meetings that look like our meeting started off today, where we had wonderful, concerned residents coming up and speaking out against a group home going into their neighborhood. And even though that was part of our mission, was to create safe places for people with developmental disabilities to live and to prosper, it struggles in a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of communities do struggle with these. Because I just did read the original bill, does it contemplate any way that concerned residents are allowed to legitimately bring a concern if they have a concern around group homes in their neighborhood and the impacts to property? And now, and I'm saying this because I really want to understand. I want to make sure that if our residents don't have appropriate rights, that we at least know that and be able to communicate it to them. I am a fan of group homes, so it's not that I'm trying to figure out a way out of this. It's one of those things where I want to make sure that we can effectively, as representatives of our community, effectively communicate to our communities. Does that make sense?
There's a section in the in SB 954, I believe it's on line 81.
I just didn't get to read 954.
Actually, the laws of Florida version, which isn't numbered.
You want to borrow mine?
Sure. You take a look at that.
Yeah, line 81's got it.
Can you give me the section number? I have it pulled up in the laws of Florida version.
Sure, it is. Let's see. Got to get up to the. So it's subsection 15B, and then further down, I believe subparagraph D. And what it says is the ordinance may not require public hearings beyond the minimum required by law to grant the requested accommodation. So we would follow the ADA and FHA requirements, and then we can't go above and beyond that on the way I'm reading this language.
But that's for granting the request, not for the requested accommodation. Is that not for? Sorry. My question is that I think, were you asking subsequent to the granting of the accommodation, if they're, again, because I think that's one of the things I'm concerned about is that, again, this is being forced down our throat. We're being forced to do this. We don't have a choice, and from the state level. But if we have to put this in there and someone comes along, where is, say, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years down the road, this becomes a problem in the local residential area that they now have a business next door. What redress do the citizens have? That's one of the things that just sticks in my mind, and I don't really see a lot here for that. I don't know what options we have.
Mr. Wagner, I'm sorry, were you finished with your comments? Okay.
And apologies for interrupting.
No, I think a very similar comment, so thank you.
Ms. Golding?
In follow-up to Mr. Jansen's comment, I guess I would just ask the city attorney this. It seems to me like this still applies to us because it has to do with granting relief from our land development code, and Duval County does not dictate what happens with our land development here in Jacks Beach. So I think just by the nature of that, we want to have it in our code so that we are managing it, not Duval County managing our land development. So they may have not worded it very well, but I think ultimately we all want to make sure that it's something we're dealing with when it comes to our land development. Am I correct with that, Mr. Miggett?
I think that's a very valid point, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Sutton?
David, your response to Councilman Jansen a few minutes ago regarding we would probably have to provide the accommodation anyway, and that really overrides state law with federal law, correct?
Yeah, there was, back in 2007, as part of my research, I found a federal court case here in Florida, which case of Jeffrey v. City of Boca Raton, where recovering alcoholics and drug addicts and operators of substance abuse treatment facilities brought an action alleging that the city of Boca Raton had an ordinance. They had an ordinance barring facilities from residential areas relating to sober homes and recovery areas like housing like this. And they alleged it violated the Fair Housing Act and Title II of the American with Disabilities Act. And the district court, the federal district court, found that the recovering alcoholics and drug addicts did suffer a handicap under the Fair Housing Act, that the ordinance violated the Fair Housing Act, and the Boca ordinance had an occupancy limitation of 3 unrelated people in a residence. They found that violated the Fair Housing Act as well. So I think that case is on point. And you know, if an issue like this arose in the city and we didn't pass this ordinance, it sets us up for more legal liability. Both, we're in violation of state law, and then there's additional federal FHA and ADA laws to contend with as well.
And if we were to pass this evening as presented, is that inclusive of the recommendations from our planning commission, or that would need to be amended to include those?
Well, the motion on the table now would not, but if I may briefly give you my opinion on that, which I hadn't done yet. The second one is nothing you all have to do. I'd be happy to go see them. The first one, if the city manager defers with me, I'd like to hear him speak after I speak, but I think it's the orderly course of city business to allow the city manager to have a designee to take certain actions. I know the city manager, if and when he does that, he's diligent about it. He makes sure it's for the proper conduct of business. So I would personally, I don't think it's the worst change if we change it, but I think government could run slightly more effective if we do not adopt that first proposed change by the planning commission. I don't know if the city manager wants to opine on that or not, but that's just my opinion.
Mr. Sutton, was that it for your questions?
Thank you, David.
Okay. Ms. Golding?
Just real quick, something that Mr. Miggett said made me think about this, and I wanted to share it with the rest of my colleagues, because I had discussion about this with Sam Wagner, who's with the Florida League of Cities when this was passed. And this is a classic case of issues in South Florida in just a very few places causing this legislation to be passed, which is now impacting all municipalities throughout Florida. So this is another reason why it's so important for us to stay involved with what's happening in Tallahassee, because we have to be communicating with our legislators to let them know that this is, you don't, pass something for the whole state when it's just an issue in one area. So just wanted to share that with everybody.
Mr. Horn?
I think I alluded to this previously. I just want to make sure I say it on the record that a couple of things. Number one, I do not have a problem with sober living houses, but my issue with this is that we are, like we mentioned previously and multiple times now, this is a state initiative, a state act that's being forced on us without allowing us to have local input, allowing us to have home rule. And I just want to make sure that I'm on the record saying I'm happy to support us controlling our land development code, but to the best we can. But I'm against the fact that the state's forcing this on us.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Mr. Jansen?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off that a little bit. So I do agree with Councilmember Golding on the fact that this is kind of overstepping home rule. But I also, in the same vein, disagree that the county can come in here and delve into our land development code. At the end of the day, the responsibility falls on the state. And I've said this on the dais before, and I still stand behind it, that they look at it as a one-size-fits-all for the state. And it's not always that way. And we need to have the input. And nor does it negate your responsibility to make sure you get your language correct before you start issuing out statewide amendments. So as far as I'm concerned, it's the incumbent is upon them to make sure that they get their language right before they start making everybody do it in such a short time frame as well. Like, you have 2 weeks, get it done, or else. Well, how about this? Get your language right first, and then we'll talk about it.
Let us know how that goes for you. Mr. Wouters?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. Miggett, your reading of this federal case, I believe, with the Federal District Court in Florida, 2007, does that preclude a town like ourselves from limiting what residential areas one of these homes can be in? As you
I don't
understand
want
it.
to give a blanket answer. If we got any sort of request, we would review it on a case by case basis, and we'd be mindful of that case to make sure we're not violating federal law. But we would review the specific facts to see if it's something that is, first step would be, is it in compliance with our land development code? If it's not, and it escalates from there, we would review the case law specific to that case. So I can't give you a blanket answer. It would need to meet, the case law is limited to that matter. It would have to be on point or an analogous situation for the case law to apply. I'm just saying it doesn't mean it's carte blanche, a blanket approval, because there's a case from 2007. We would look at everything very closely to see if the federal law would require us to take action, even if it was not required under our land development code.
If I could ask one follow-up question, perhaps, of our city manager. Mike, are there any homes in RS1 or RS2 or RS3 districts, zoning districts, that you know of?
I do not know the answer to that. That would be a business tax question, I'm guessing, which we can research and let you know before second hearing.
Thanks, Mike.
I don't see any other lights on the board. I would just remind the council that this is up for a vote on the first reading, and we have over a month before the second. And I would think between now and then, since we're not alone in being under a short timeline, that we'll see a lot more information of what other cities are doing. Also, at the second reading, we need to, I know there was something that came up, but make sure we have someone from planning here that can answer the more nitty gritty questions for us. So thank you for keeping it on the agenda so that we can at least have the first reading vote, and we can also discuss the recommendations of the Planning Commission at that time too, if we want to do any amending or anything like that, if everyone is good with that. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Wagner,
Begrudgingly, yes.
What'd you say?
Begrudgingly, yes.
It's just a yes.
Councilmember Wouters,
No.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Begrudgingly, yes, as well.
Councilmember Jansen,
No.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries, and we will have that second reading in January. Our last issue of the year. Trevor, take us home.
Trevor Hughes, Chief of Parks Development and Maintenance, Parks and Recreation. In keeping with the strategic plan, Parks are looking to amend the City Code of Ordinance, Chapter 20, Parks and Recreation. These changes will help line up with current operations, offer better enforcement, and strengthen coordination with related ordinances. Some of the highlights are assistance with severe weather policies, wildlife management, and the renaming of our tennis center. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. And for those listening at home, we did go through these proposed changes at a recent briefing, so we have had an opportunity to dive into them. But thank you for that recap and summary. And I have one last reading to do. Madam Clerk, will you read the ordinance by title?
An ordinance of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 20, Parks and Recreation, Article 3, Use Regulations, Article 4, Park Rules and Regulations of the Code of Ordinances to make corrections and add a section to provide codified local rules, regulations, and enforcement provisions concerning the city's parks and recreation, and providing for legislative findings, repeal of conflicts, severability, Scrivener's errors, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This ordinance is before the council for a public hearing and consideration on its first reading. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 2025-8231. I do not have any speaker cards on this item. Would anybody in the audience like to address this ordinance for or against? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I move we approve ordinance number 2026-8231 on the first reading, amending the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 20, Parks and Recreation, Article 3, Use Regulations, and Article 4, Park Rules and Regulations, to make corrections and add a section to provide codified local rules, regulations, and enforcement provisions concerning the city's parks and recreation, and the scheduled second reading for January 20th, 2026.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion or questions from council? Mr. Wagner.
Thank you, Dan. Really like changing the name of the tennis courts to Jacksonville Beach Tennis Club. And so I hope there's some plans for some cool logo stuff out there. It's an opportunity for revenue. And it's just a cool sounding name.
If you need a mascot, a goose would probably
Yeah.
great. No? Too soon? Mr. Horn.
I just wanted to comment. I'm happy to see that there's been a lot of concern about people feeding the geese. I still think we need to look at the bigger issue of what to do with said geese, but that's another issue down the road. But I'm happy that we're getting to this point. Thank you. And
Is this a bad time to remind everyone about the employee luncheon tomorrow? Mr. Wowders.
Thank you. Councilman Horn, what solutions would you suggest?
Before we fall too, wait, do you have a witty retort? If you have one ready, go ahead. Okay.
I was going to say, I'm going to rent 2 Dobermans to the city of Jacksonville Beach for an exorbitant fee, and we'll run those geese off quickly.
Anybody else? Anybody else got jokes? Thank you for your work on this. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Wagner.
Yes.
Councilmember Wouters.
Yes.
Councilmember Golding.
Yes.
Councilmember Horn.
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen.
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton.
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries. Last item, adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Merry Christmas.
You guys can stay here. Merry Christmas. We'll see you in 2026.